This episode is a must listen. Now, before you go picking your sugary sweet name and looking for your Instagram username and whether or not it has a domain on GoDaddy, I want you to listen to this episode so you don't make a major mistake to not protect your sugar business first. I want you to know what it takes to either get started to get your legal house in order or to back up and refocus on having a strong legal strategy for your existing skincare business. I want you to meet my dear friend, Joey Vitale, who is not your typical lawyer, but he is actually the one that has helped me in so many ways to get all of my legal ducks in a row. And I want to share his wisdom with all of you. So here is the next episode of The Sugar Show. Hello and welcome back to this episode of The Sugar Show. We're all about legal ease today, folks. Don't worry, it won't explode your brain. We're all about making this easy. I am here with this guy, Joey Vitale.
What's up, everybody?
I love it. They're like, that's your lawyer? What? That's your law guy? He looks like my cool friend that I want to play the ukulele with.
Yeah, if you're listening to this on the podcast and you can't see my face, Joey Vitale is a pretty intimidating sounding mafia name.
Totally.
But yeah, my face doesn't really match up with that.
I was gonna say you sound like a detective in the Sopranos. You know,
Right.
like Joey Vitale. Getting the bad guys in the crime.
Yeah.
And if you're not seeing this podcast, he actually has a ukulele behind him, which
I do have a ukulele behind me. And as Shannon knows, I'm a lawyer, but I really don't like to argue. So
that's why I love you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's back up for a second. We're going to do a quick history of how we know each other and all that good stuff. And then we are going to dive into really what it takes to either get started if this is new for you, but also maybe to back up just a minute if you jumped into the deep end with both feet and you really didn't do some of the pre-work. So let's talk about, first of all, to let the audience know, we actually met by way of one of our online groups, our tech groups, where we do a lot of strategizing and talking about the tech industry in general. And I just love this guy. He comes on, he's got his dog, Mr. Feeney. He's, like I said, he plays the ukulele. He's cool. I'm like, this guy really a lawyer? And what I really think is important for the audience to understand is, well, first of all, they know that I am not shy and I am not stuffy and, I'm not going to hire the guy in the suit, right? I want to hire the guy that understands me. And that's when you and I first talked, gosh, it was at least a year ago. I really got to understand, Joey, that you really understand me and my business. And I trust that you're going to really help me just be a part of the solution, right? Instead of all this airy fairy, pay me all this money and I'll show you how amazing I am. You're like, no, let me show you how to do it because you really can. And let me give you some guidance along the way. So back up just a little bit and share with the audience your background because, you really have a cool story on how you are here today.
Yeah. Thank you. So I could talk for a while on this, but the short story is when I was in college, my dad bribed me with a car to go to law school, which made the decision to go very easy because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And my dad's more conservative. So he was like, either you can join the construction business or you can get a law degree. And I was like, well, I hate concrete. So there we go. And I quickly realized that I wasn't, like I said, the fighter, the shark that you typically think about when you think of a lawyer. And so after spending a couple of years at a law firm, I kept learning over and over again how it wasn't the best fit for me. And so I actually started up my own business. I don't think you know this, Shannon, but I started my own graphic design company.
I did not know that.
It was called Vitale Graphics, and it had a little kangaroo icon on it because a Joey kangaroo. So basically, it was my way of telling my family, I will do your Christmas cards, but you have to pay me a little bit of money. And I joined a couple of groups, I met more business owners, and as a lawyer, I was seeing people have all of these questions. And I started a law firm knowing that, like you, Shannon, I kind of had that teacher leader background. I really wanted to help people, and I knew I could communicate things well. And I had this law degree, so I could figure it out on the fly. And it didn't take me very long to realize that so much of the legal stuff, and you can go down rabbit holes when you search for Google, so much of it is really overwhelming. And it's not, when you research legal stuff for businesses, it's not really written with our types of online businesses in mind. And I realized that there was so much noise I could cut out and really communicate and say, hey, there's a lot of stuff that can happen in your business, but before we get to the complicated stuff, here's a really simple to-do list of things that you can check off.
Yeah. I will jump in there and tell you that I didn't want the noise. I didn't want the stuffed suit with the expensive fees and all of that. And so I went to one of those online kind of do it for you. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't the right choice because they just have somebody clicking boxes, on the other end of the line. And I actually ended up losing a lot of money by doing one of the do-it-yourself engines, so to speak, just the cut and paste. And because I really didn't understand what I was doing, I just thought this was the only option, instead of the really expensive law guy, lawyer.
It's what I've learned is, as a business owner myself, and I know you'll appreciate this, Shannon, when it comes to any type of a solution for your business, it's important to kind of think about what the business model is that you're buying into.
Sure.
And those types of LegalZoom-ish offers, the reason why those companies make money is because there's something on the back end where there's upsells and there's ways for it to become more complicated and expensive quickly. And that's how they can get away with having a cheaper offering up front.
So they kind of tease you quick with a little bit of cheese, and then they bring you in to get the rest from you, because there's complications.
And there's also no empowerment in it either.
True.
There's no sense of, let me teach you a little bit of what you can probably do on your own here, so you don't have to keep coming back to us.
Yeah. Well, I experienced that. And then when I met you, I thought, all right, I like this guy. I like what he's about, and I like what he can do for me. And how did you get from, okay, it's really time for me to not be a lawyer and I want to start doing what I do, and what do you do?
Man, there's a couple different ways that I can answer that. Okay. It took me about a year after working with different types of business owners to realize the types of legal problems that I really needed to build my entire law firm around. Because when I started, we were very much like I call it like a legal drive-through service, where you pull up to the menu and you ask for things and we deliver.
Okay.
And we learned that people didn't really know what to ask for. And if we gave them a full menu of options, they either wouldn't pick anything or would pick the wrong things on the list. So we built a law firm based on, here are the few things that you really need that we can help you with. And then after working with more clients one-to-one there, we learned ways to figure out what my signature process was around those things and create programs around it so that it can be even more accessible to business owners.
Well, I'm so glad you have, which is why I have you on the show and why I am part of two of those programs now, and why I want to share it with my audience, because I think it's really important. I've noticed in the industry, people kind of jump into the deep end, sugaring. People learn how to sugar Joey and they're like, oh my gosh, I love this. I want to call myself this. And, and I can make so much more money by adding sugaring. And it's really been this cool transformation of our industry, but I'm putting the reins on us a little bit, just a hair, to say, okay, stop. have you protected your sugaring biz? Or have you done the steps that you need to do to make sure that you're protected? And that's really what this podcast is about today is,
Yeah.
making sure that your sugaring biz is protected. And there are processes in place that we can work toward.
Yeah. So there are two beliefs that I think are really common among business owners these days. And I've had the honor to be in front of your audience before. So I know firsthand that this is true for those that I've talked to as well. On the one hand, you have a lot of confidence in your business, right? Like you are doing this because you see the finish line, you see how this can really reap rewards for you.
Sure.
And at the same time, a lot of people think, well, I can get away with kind of being under the radar for things while I'm getting started.
Mm-hmm.
And I get both of those. But what I've learned over time working with so many business owners is that those two beliefs are not aligned with each other.
Right.
So you can't be in a mindset of growth, of thinking that you want to get bigger, and at the same time think, I'm not ready for XYZ yet. My business doesn't need that. Because what eventually then happens is not that you run into some legal problem where someone's suing you, but you wake up one morning and it feels like overnight you've become this success with all of this duct tape around it. And you haven't done the work of getting those protections and formalities in place along the way. And it becomes a lot more tough on you, more expensive to look back and get all of that fixed.
For sure. I think there's a lot of people that think, oh, I'm just a sole proprietor. They have their little personal account. Maybe they've gotten a business account. That's about as much businessy things as they've done.
Yeah.
But I'll just pay my little taxes and move on. I never thought I would be the sugar mama and doing all the things that I did and have staff and all of these things. I never thought back in the day when, I was trying to build this business that it would get to the place that it is. And I wish I would have done some things sooner, and I don't want people to make the same mistakes. So what would you say to someone who is a sole proprietor? What's kind of the first thing they need to do before they go out and pick their sugary name?
Sure.
Or can they pick their sugary name first and they go, oh my gosh, I'm going to be the sugar shop or whatever. And they go about they make the business cards, they get the Instagram account, they get the domain name. And they're like, the domain name's free. It must be free, right? And, they call themselves, I'll just say the sugar shop, right? I don't even know if that's a trademark. But they call themselves something, the sugar something, the sweet something, and they're off to the races. And it's like, whoa, dial it back. What kind of comes first?
Yeah. So because Shannon and I kind of come from a similar kind of tech strategy background, I don't think she'll be surprised by me following that question with another question. But have you ever told your people, like, you are not your business? And it's important that you don't value how you are personally by how the business is doing, good or bad.
That's something very common in the beauty industry. Very common that it's very personal, that you are your business. And if your name is the sugar this or the sweet this, it's actually you.
Yeah.
And if you rise or fall, especially in this 2020 crazy making, you feel success or failure personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a hard thing for a business owner to overcome. But the truth is, you as a business owner, like, you're creating this business that is separate from you. And whether you learn hard lessons or you're an overnight success, none of that is tied to your worth as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it time and time again. The businesses that are growing and scaling, they've made that mindset shift of, I am not defined by how my business is doing. I'm separate from my business. The problem, though, is that as long as you stay a sole proprietor, you legally are your business, and there's really no separation there.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes hard and sometimes dishonest to talk about we or your business being different from you when, according to the bank account and everything else, it actually is all operating from you. And
For sure.
this is, I think, what Shannon was getting at when I say like, this is like a not very lawyery reason of saying that's why I recommend getting an LLC. Yes, it can protect you if something bad ever happens to you,
Right.
but there is a really powerful mindset shift that happens. And the sooner you do that and commit to that, the faster you can start flexing that muscle.
Yeah, I have to be really honest with you, Joey. When I first started, I was a sole proprietor, and I thought LLCs were for big corporations.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't know, Burger King or, you know, Starbucks. Like that was an LLC to me. And at the time, I didn't have the money to pay a lawyer to make me an LLC. I didn't even know how to do it.
Yep.
And I thought that was for big companies. So explain why a beauty professional needs to consider an LLC opposed to a sole proprietor, why that's important.
Yeah. And I think it's helpful also to bring in the concept of a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Because to your point about why a small business owner would want this, historically, it's really interesting because there used to just be sole proprietors and corporations.
Yeah.
But if you've ever looked into a corporation, and if you haven't, please don't, it's complicated to set up and it's really complicated to manage.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, our laws introduce this idea of a limited liability company, something that's easier to set up, easier to run, but still gives you that asset protection. And legally, the big payoff there is that if you, heaven forbid, ever get sued, you are shielding your personal assets. So at most, they can take what the business owns, but they can't go after your house, your car,
Mm-hmm.
other assets that you own personally. And like you said, when a lot of people think, oh, an LLC is for bigger companies, it's made for smaller companies. And it's like, you guys, it's probably easier to get an LLC than to get a bank account. It's like actually super easy. There are some kind of speed bumps along the way if you're not careful, and there are things around forming the LLC that you want to make sure that you do, just so that you have everything kind of buttoned up in case the state ever kind of takes a closer look at how you form the business and how you're operating it.
Mm-hmm.
But actually getting the paperwork done isn't that hard.
So you get your LLC, and that peace of mind is ...
I would say two main things. Number one, knowing that you are now legally not your business and you can take action, knowing that it's not a personal attack. And that might sound super cheesy and corny, but I've had clients who come back and tell me, Joey, I had a client fire me the other day. And because I knew that it was the LLC and not me, it really helped me not take it personally.
Yeah.
Or I just started doing Facebook ads and someone insulted me or the business. And it was just really assuring to remember that they're talking about the business, not me.
Yeah. You know, I think, Joey, if sugaring professionals and beauty professionals can really understand that being a boss babe or a boss sugar pro, guys and girls, you really have to have your business be that. It is your business. Yeah. It is, and then you can grow it and scale it or keep it right where it's at. But it really, if you disconnect from it, then you really can grow and people will take you seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point about growth, I think that's the second reason for getting the LLC quickly, is that it's not a matter of if you should get an LLC, it's a matter of when. And the longer you wait, the more complicated it can become. So right now you probably have certain documents floating around with your name listed as a sole proprietor. Maybe it's your banking documents, privacy policy, contracts that are out there. As soon as you change the entity to an LLC, you should be reaching out to all those different relationships and updating them, letting them know that it's now an LLC. And the longer you wait, the more legwork you're going to have to do to fix all of those relationships.
Yeah, for sure. The key is to make sure that you are solid in your planning, that you have all your ducks in a row. This isn't just tossing the paperwork in a basket and, you know, you just go about and sugar eyebrows.
Yeah.
Own your biz, you know, own it, be the CEO of it, show up to it, have it classified properly so that you can prepare yourself for, especially in this next year, because 2020 has been cuckoo, but this is the time to prepare. We've got some lockdown time. We've got, some time where we've been home. It's like, okay, this is going to end. Does it going to end tomorrow? Apparently not, but it's going to end. We're going to come back out of it and you'll be ready to go. Or if we open for a little bit and then close back down, if we open for a little bit, close back down, your business, that entity is protected.
Yeah.
And you can be confident moving through these uncertain times. I mean, that to me is the number one, is just making sure that you're confident no matter what the world throws at us right now,
Yeah.
And truly being an LLC will really help that for those of you that are out there sugaring your little selves. And, there's other kinds of corporations and things that you can become when you get staff and when you do grow and get bigger.
So
but
I'll say though, even as you do grow, don't feel like you need to change the corporate structure. LLCs are a great fit, even for big companies. So like Google is still an LLC.
I didn't know that.
So as long as you don't plan on like going public and like having investors and things, you're probably okay to stay in LLC for life. Not even think about it.
I'm going to get a shirt, LLC for life.
Yeah.
I'll get Vitale Graphics, Vitale Designs to do it.
Yeah, we'll get something started for you.
Yeah, right. Okay, so
invoice number 17. We only had we didn't get off the ground that far.
Like 6 friends.
Yeah.
Okay, so how can they go about getting an LLC? What next? How do you do that?
So once you are committed to forming an LLC, I think you really will find that it's not rocket science to do.
Okay.
There are a lot of resources out there, some better than others, that give you kind of step-by-step instructions. I'm here to serve you guys and to give you value. I do have some resources that can help you get this done quickly. Like I said, it's not rocket science, but there are some things that I think sometimes can get lost in that Google rabbit hole of information that you just want to make sure you don't forget.
Yep. And we'll have all that info in the show notes for them. So
cool.
This isn't a like sales pitch or anything. This is how you get started next.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you have decided to start your business, or you've decided to organize your business because you've already started maybe, and you're like, oh shoot, I should probably get an LLC. So you back up the train a little bit, you get the LLC, and then let's talk about trademarks.
Yeah.
So one of the fun things, and with my name being the Sugar Mama, one of the fun things about what we do by adding sugaring or having it be our main niche in our business is the names, like sweet this, sugar that, honey this, it's really kind of a fun marketing feast that we have on the table in front of us, that we can really have some fun with it, right? And just when you think that, oh my gosh, I figured out the cutest name for my business, it's going to be called the ABC Sweet Spot or whatever, and you go ahead and you get your domains and your usernames, and oh look, they're available, and you get on there, and that's not where to start.
Yeah.
So what is a trademark anyway? Let's start there.
I love trademarks, not because I'm just totally a nerd. I mean, there's that too, but I've learned that the biggest risk on the table that can come back and bite you is trademarks, because trademark issues are what can result in you being told you have to completely change your business name. Or a slogan or whatever it is that you might be using, because somebody else has already started using it and protecting it. And trademarks are also one of those things where I think we pick up this kind of working definition of what a trademark is based on what we've seen on TV and what we're kind of told in Facebook groups. And as is the case with most things, like there's some truth to kind of what you've picked up, but there's a lot that isn't really the whole picture. And it can be dangerous to run your business with this really unclear picture of what a trademark is.
Okay. So what is a trademark?
I love that question because I think that it's weird to answer. Shannon, I don't bring this up with 99% of business owners, but I'm going to use it with you as an example because I know you'll love it.
Okay.
There is a Supreme Court case where the law was actually around some issue related to pornography.
Okay.
And this is a Supreme Court case. So the judges, when they're writing their opinions, they have to write definitions of everything. And the judges actually had to sit down and watch pornography in order to issue opinions on this. And one of the judges wrote in his opinion, it's hard to define porn, but I know it when I see it.
It's profound.
I have to find the case and like where this is at, because I thought it was so funny that was the context of all of this. But it's hard. Similarly, it's hard to define trademarks, but I think a lot of people know it when they see it, right? Mm-hmm. So we've talked about the sugar names. We've talked about kind of big brands and why they might want trademarks, and really that's all that a trademark is. It's something that when you see it out there, it makes a consumer think of a business in particular. So when we hear "just do it," or we see the Nike swoosh, or we just see the word Nike, we think of a business in particular.
Correct.
And that doesn't happen when we just hear the word cereal or sports
shoes.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's really what a trademark is it allows customers to think of one person in particular. And the reason why we have so many laws protecting trademarks isn't necessarily to protect the business owner, it's to protect the consumers. We want to make sure that customers don't accidentally buy from some company that's like Nike spelled weird, thinking that it's actually Nike.
Yeah.
And so trademarks are meant to avoid customer confusion. I say that because a lot of business owners, when they think about trademarks, they think two things. Number one, I need to it's about calling dibs on my name. Mm-hmm. And I don't want anybody else to use the name that I picked. Like our ego starts firing. When we talk about trademarks, it's very much almost like a selfish thing, right?
This is mine.
Yes. Yeah. That is a thing you can do with trademarks. But before we get there, we have to talk about availability, because there's a good chance that if you don't do your research, you're accidentally going to step on someone's toes. Mm-hmm. And to your point about just going on Instagram or going to GoDaddy, when you just think of a name and do a really quick search and then run forward with it, especially in an industry that's kind of saturated with similar names like this, you're running a big risk that you're infringing on somebody else. And that infringement is going to become a bigger and bigger headache the bigger you grow.
Yeah. And if you're someone that's been doing this for a really long time and someone comes in and says, hey, you need to cease and desist, I mean, the entire town might know you as this business.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the trademark, you'll have to change it. And that could be devastating.
Yeah. And it's tricky because a lot of us get emotionally tied to the names that we think of and we like right away.
Oh, yeah.
And part of what I work with my clients and with my students is kind of putting that emotion to the side and remembering that there's really no such thing as a perfect name. It's better to be unique and to really stand out with a name that isn't taken or used than to have that like super sexy sounding name that we think is just going to make people walk through our doors when they hear it.
Yeah. Speaking of super sexy sounding name, the SugarMama is just that. And I have a story where I was at a trade show last year. The trade show feels so long ago. where we could actually interact with each other. But I was at a trade show and I said, oh, hey, I talked to this gal and she was interested in sugaring. So I sent her to one of the sugaring booths. And the gal walks over to the sugaring booth to learn more about sugar, because I don't have a booth there. I just, the vendors will have booths. Oh, go check out this company. Great. So this gal walks up and she's like, yeah, the SugarMama sent me. And the gal that was standing at the booth said, oh, which one? And I was like, which one? What do you mean, which one? I am the one, you know? And I did a little digging, and there are a few gals who have called themselves the SugarMama, and hate to break it to you, but that's my name. And so that's, I mean, it's a tough way for them to find out, you know, that they can't call themselves that, you know, because when you think of the SugarMama, you think of me, you know, in our industry. So,
well,
you know, I feel for them, but they should have done their due diligence, you know.
I love that example, because I think that you obviously are looked up to as a pro in your space. And imagine if you not only had your trademarks taken care of, you not only had the ongoing paperwork to make sure you never lost it, and you had kind of someone in your corner to help you enforce it, but you also knew that whenever you ran into a situation like that, you had such a sense of confidence and systems in place that you didn't have to think about what to say to that person. You were just like, oh, I have standard language that I send to people in those situations that takes care of it. Like, wouldn't that really take the emotion out of those type of situations, and learning that someone is out there with a similar name?
Yeah, for sure. And I can't imagine being on the other side of that, thinking to myself, you know what? I could kick myself. I didn't do my due diligence, and shame on me. I mean, all the places that you'd have to change it, from Yelp to, you know, your business, like everything has to change when you change your business name. Yeah. So if you do your due diligence now, or you quickly scamper back and make sure that your stuff is covered and then apply for it, you know, it's just the smarter way to do business. And you know what, Joey, I'd have to tell you, it's a lot less intimidating than I thought. And at first, because of you,
what's less intimidating
is getting the trademark, you know, because at first I was like, oh gosh, I got to get the lawyer again, right? I've got to get the lawyer who's going to charge me a grip ton of money to do all of this. And, you know, I was able to work with your program and follow the instructions. It was very easy. And now I realize there's other things I want to trademark. So I've got to go out and trademark those things, you know. But now I can do it because you've empowered me to do so. And I want to empower other sugaring professionals, other beauty industry professionals, to do it themselves as well, with some guidance, right? Because it was not easy until I followed your steps. So thank you for that.
I love hearing that.
But you know, I think that we think that trademarks are complicated. They are to some degree, but like I said, with your assistance, we can make it happen. We can empower ourselves to do it and get our ducks in a row. So for 3 reasons. Number one, like those gals that, you know, have used the SugarMama name, you don't want your name to be taken away from you. They might be lovely people who, you know, had good intentions, but you can't just get a username, correct? You can't just get an Instagram username and say that that's, you know, that's enough. Right. You don't stake claim by just getting a username or a domain name.
Right. Yeah, it's there's a lot that can go into it, and sometimes, you know how, to your point about, like, you come up with a name and then you get all fancy with the business card and the Instagram, and I think there are certain fun parts about business that we just tend to gravitate towards.
Right.
And the other potential trap that I'm seeing more and more businesses go down is this other distraction trap of, once they start doing certain types of work on their own, specifically legal and trademarks, they start to see how complicated it can be. And there is a desire to just continue learning about stuff
Mm-hmm.
before you actually take action and commit and then get some application filed. And that's another important part of what we do in the program is put those guardrails up and
Mm-hmm.
say, not only are we going to not overload you so that you can get this done, but we are not going to create any room for you to be like, oh, let me just kind of hang out in the group for like 6 months before I apply so that I can really be a trademark ninja. That's not
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the key is to not procrastinate on this and to get a program like this and to, like you said, put the guardrails up. And you do not know this, but you're in season 2 of the Sugar Show podcast. And season 2, the theme, the core of this season is focusing on your craft and really focusing and just taking the rest of the noise out and focus on being an amazing business owner, an amazing sugar practitioner, and just an amazing human in general.
I love that.
So what I love about this, Joey, is this really goes with put the guardrails up, focus on your craft, focus on your business, search for a name. It's not as easy as just, you know, I thought I was protected because I went into the uspto.gov or whatever it is. And I typed in, you know, the name I was looking for and nothing really came up. Well, I didn't know how to search properly. And your program taught me, there's a way that you, and I will not give up the secret sauce, but there is a way that you search to really see everything.
Yeah.
So you can understand everyone that has a trademark, whether it's alive or dead, or I didn't know what all that meant.
Yep.
So I really spent a good, like solid day. I put the guardrails up. I focused on my name, my category, my class, who I was, what I was all about, what I wanted my business to be. And I will do it the same again when I do some of these online programs that are going to have a fun name to them. I will take and cookie cutter again. But the key is to focus on your business, audience. Really focus on making sure that you have that LLC to protect your business, that you have the trademark for the name, that you possess that. There is such confidence and just badassery in that, right?
Yeah.
I said badassery. I wanted to use that once today. But really that you can now say, no, I'm a badass. I'm really focused on what I do. When you come to my business, it's professional. We have our stuff together and we are going to provide you with an amazing service. Check, check, and check. Booyah, right? But you really got to back up the train. And if you've thrown out all these really cute words and you have a username and a domain and it's all really cute and you made t-shirts and you have, you know, water sippies that you hand out to all your clients and have you protected that?
Yeah.
And they're really, we're happy to tell you that there is a way to do both those things.
Well, and I really want to stress, like, you guys, I think that you are successful or capable of being successful enough to deserve all of these protections.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, our brains have a way of trying to get out of these types of commitments. And one of the objections that I get a lot is, I'm just not ready for that yet. Well, not with that attitude.
Right.
And so just don't let thinking about the law allow you to kind of shrink and feel like your business isn't ready for this, because the fact that you're listening to this podcast means that you are ready. And I actually have another pro tip.
Oh, good.
If I can share that. Because I know we're talking about LLCs and trademarks, and people might be asking, which do I do first?
Okay.
I 100% recommend LLC first, because it's easier to do. Unlike trademarks, which can take 6 months to a year or more, it's pretty instantaneous to do. But also because a lot of people think, I can't form an LLC if I don't know what my name is, and I don't know what my name is until I get my trademark. There's a difference between the name of your LLC, the technical name of your business, and your trademark. And so I want to be clear on this. And there's other parts of this that I know you can dive into the resources that Shannon's going to share, but I don't think I touch on this in those resources, so I'm sharing it here.
Okay.
when you get an LLC, that name that you get as an LLC, well, I like to call it like your backstage business name. It's the name that your bank knows about, the Secretary of State knows about. When you have to put the name of your business on your contracts, that's what people see.
It doesn't have to be your sexy on your business card name.
No.
It can be your just very generic, this is the name of our company.
Yep. So you could technically choose a name for your LLC that is the name of another business. And as long as you never kind of use that as your brand, it's never public facing, that's probably not a big deal. You can probably get away with that. And so don't let thinking that the name that you want for your LLC might be taken by somebody else to keep you from moving. I know a lot of business owners who they are confused by that. They're a little overwhelmed. So they just get an LLC to their name. So I have an LLC that's just Joey C. Vitale LLC.
Boom.
So feel free to run in that direction if you're not quite sure what name to go forward with.
Yeah,
because
that's great. So you can
the trademark is just the public facing name.
That's a great distinguishing thing because, you know, like I'm Sweet Enterprises and all the things that I do are as Sweet Enterprises. Done. Yeah. And all of the, you know, other things that I do are the things that I trademark. So, and we talk so we have done a masterclass together, you and I, which is really exciting. And we talk about this more in depth about what's the difference between a trademark, the TM and the R with the circle around it.
Yeah.
You know, what's the difference between those things? How do I actually go about searching a name? How do I go about being, instead of just being all over the place business person, being really just saying, no, you know what, this is the year that I'm going to focus and I'm going to be my own CEO. I'm going to, you know, be a badass boss babe and I'm going to get my LLC. I'm going to get my trademark. I'm going to do the due diligence. Like it's really cool stuff. And if you, like you said, if you are listening to this show, you want better for yourself, you want better for your business, and you really want to empower yourself to be the most badass business owner you can be.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you don't have an LLC yet, go in the direction of getting that first. Okay. If you do, then you can continue forward looking at the other resources that Shannon's got for you, looking into the trademark side of things. Yeah,
for sure. And then as they have kind of other cool things that come up, we'll have to have more podcasts, Joe.
Yeah. So absolutely. But you know, I appreciate you and your audience enough to I want to put guardrails around that. And I want to say, you know, until you take action on this podcast, I don't need to come back.
All right.
I really want people to take action on this. And I think that sometimes business owners and business experts, they go in this other direction of just wanting to have content and value and tips just to kind of fill some noise. And the last thing I want to do is overload your people with legal steps to take.
Yeah. So you are our LLC and trademark guy.
Yep.
You're our guy. I love having a guy. Awesome. You're awesome. So Sugar Show audience, you are just in for a treat with just the fountain of information that Joey is in these two arenas for sure. He is going to make this so much more simple for you. So if you've been wondering if this is something that you need to do, I promise you that getting your LLC and getting your trademark is something you can do. We are filling you up with confidence to do it and really take your business to the next level. Because apparently 2021 is the year of moving forward. This is the year of focus and preparation, apparently. Apparently, we were supposed to sit down and make some things happen and getting our house in order. So we're going to get our house in order this year, and we're going to focus so that we can really be empowered when we're moving on in big growth. So cheers to you, Sugar audience. Cheers to you, Joey. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Really an honor to be here. And I hope that your audience knows how lucky they are to have you as a leader in the space. You're awesome.
We have some fun and you're awesome too. Thanks. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next class. Hey, Sugar Pros. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you are interested in getting certified in sugaring, growing your already existing rockstar sugar business, or joining the Sugar Network with us, head over to my website, www.lovetossugar.com, for more information about all things sugar, from iSugar University to the Sugar Network, or even if you just need a little coaching. It's all right there at love2sugar.com. Until then, I hope you have a fabulously sweet day, and cheers to your sweet success.